So, I don't know if you guys ever have any doubts, but I do. I mean, for example, one recent is this whole stimulus check that all Americans are getting. I've been like, I don't know, I'll believe it when I see it. And Heather's like, oh no, everybody's getting it. My family, brother, friends tell me they've gotten theirs, but I'm always still like, as I walk to the mailbox each day, like, I'll believe it when I see it. Or think about Austin Weaver, a little closer to home for you all. It's legendary, his claim to have gotten a major mullet. And since I've been there, I've always been like, I'll believe it when I see it, you know? Or if you're catching my yard in the background, I've said I'm gonna mow it the last few days, and I think Heather and the kids at this point are probably like, doubt it. But you know, that's awesome because today's story is out of John 20, and it's about this guy that gets called Doubting Thomas. And I'm gonna start at verse 24 through 28 in chapter 20 of John. And it says this, when I get on the right page, it says this, but Thomas, sometimes called the twin, one of the 12 was not with them when Jesus came. The other disciples told him, we saw the master, but he said, unless I see the nail holes in his hands, put my finger in the nail holes and stick my hand in his side, I won't believe it. 8 days later, his disciples were again in the room, and this time Thomas was with them. Jesus came through the locked door, stood among them, and said, peace to you. Then he focused his attention to Thomas and said, take your finger and examine my hands. Take your hand and stick it in my side. Don't be unbelieving, but believe. And Thomas said, my master, my God. And I love that story, but the thing is, I've always wondered is why Thomas gets stuck with doubting Thomas. You know, and y'all have probably heard that. Maybe it's been said to you or you've heard someone else say it, but this phrase that gets tossed around when somebody doesn't believe something or questions it, they'll be like, oh, don't be a doubting Thomas. And I get why they use that, but the thing is, it sometimes isolates Thomas as the only one who had any doubts. And I'm like, have we read the other Gospels, all of them? Because in each one of those, there are plenty of examples post-resurrection for Jesus where the other disciples, they all doubt. I mean, like when the women go to the tomb and Jesus isn't there and they come back and it says they told the other disciples, he's not there, we've seen him, and it says they didn't believe it. Or in when Jesus even appears to him, and they don't believe it at first. They think it's a ghost or something. He has to prove it to him. But there's multiple occasions where none of the disciples believed it. The ones that were there before Thomas only saw proof themselves the week before. But one of my favorite is Matthew 28, where Jesus is having them all come to the mountain, and he's going to give them the Great Commission. And this is the last time he's going to see them. And it says the 11 went there, and they worshiped him, but some doubted. Like, what? What? After all this time, they've been with him for 3 years. They've seen him on other occasions after the resurrection. This is the last kind of marching orders, the commission, and it says, but some still doubted. They were kind of like, I don't know. Now, the ones that wrote the Gospels were Jesus followers, which is why this is great, because it does not shine a good light on them to say they doubted, yet they said it. They weren't afraid to pen that, to say that this is part of the story, that even those closest doubted. And that should give you and me, you and I, great confidence to know that when we have questions and we have doubts, it's not because we're bad or it's not because we're not good enough of a Christian. It's because it's real. And so when adults or other people tell you, you know, you just need to have a little more faith, or if you just pray more, or if you just would believe, you just got to believe, that's not helpful, even though it comes from a good place. Because that will cause you to suppress those, to feel like you can't voice those, and to walk around with kind of a fake, pretentious certainty about your faith. So I encourage you, when you have questions, when you have doubts, don't be afraid of those. Embrace where those are coming from and chase them down, follow them. Have questions with your leaders, with your adults, with other people, your parents. Have those discussions. It will drive you to a deeper, richer, more vital faith, and certainly an authentic faith. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So bring those questions, doubts, bring just those ideas of how you handle that when those do arise. And we're going to talk about it on Zoom tonight at 6 o'clock. I sure hope you're going to be there. We'll see you then. Bye.